behind you.
Hi, Francis. It's almost 9 months that I didn't have a question, so...
So it's going to be a long one.
The first one is very short, but second one is more complicated.
One at a time.
Okay. Very interesting, Francis. 4 weeks ago, I heard new concept, causal body. I never heard you talking about that. That said, there is a physical body, there is an astral body, and causal body where is coming the desire and like and dislike.
Causal body is consciousness.
Is the same. So it's not in...
It's another word for consciousness.
It's causal body? But in Indian culture, they call it differently. They call it what is called desire and like and dislike.
There are all kinds of... When we use words, there are all kinds of meanings depending on the vantage point.
Okay.
And but the distinctions are gross body, which is a physical realm, subtle body, which is the mind realm, in other words, and causal body is the origin of all of that, the cause, the origin of all of that, which would be consciousness. Okay. And as a result, the causal body, as perceived, is the world as we perceive it.
Okay, so my main question, my focus now, as you know, how to implement, to be open of possibility to be universal consciousness to this body-mind, how to live according to that and do the exercise, but to do that. I try to ask this question not come from the lack, because this question is not affect my peace, but more than interest, Francis.
Yeah.
That I don't feel it as in level of feeling everybody consciousness as a consciousness universal, or is not feel exactly. So this is my interest. What I don't need to in my power to do, maybe it's not my fate, but it still is a strong desire for that.
Well, take it the other way. Do you feel it as non-universal? Do you feel your consciousness as non-universal?
No.
So that's enough. Because then the desire to feel it as universal cannot be met, because you want to feel it as universal in front of you, so to speak, as a perception, as a phenomenal appearance. It's a residual desire to see oneself as an object. So we have to accept that we cannot see consciousness as an object. Even the more subtle or the most intimate bodily sensation, like yesterday we were talking about some bodily sensations that seem to be the place where the self resides, like in the chest. Even that is perceived. That is limited, obviously, and obviously it is not that which perceives.
This universality of consciousness and to be open is not supposed to reprogram the feeling also, the bodily sensation, to some more expansion?
Well, it is, we don't need to, we have to realize that the original perception of the world and of the body is without borders separating them. In other words, if we investigate our perceptions and our bodily sensations, and if we try to find a separation there experientially, not conceptually, or conceptually, of course, the body is in the world, there is a separation. But we have to understand also that equally conceptually, because the body is in the world, they share the same reality. That the separation, the body is not an isolated system. That to see the body as separate from the world is simply something we imagine, but it's never real. Can you take there is a world here with a body inside, okay? Can you take the body and put it out of the world? You see what I mean? It's not possible. Where would you put it? They are inseparable. So the fact that they are inseparable, we forget it. It's only a thought that separates them. But their reality is the same. So you see, conceptually, I can separate it conceptually. That's one concept. It's useful for if you're a doctor, right? You want to treat the patient, you don't want to treat the universe, right? It's important. But it's not the absolute truth. So it can be useful. We do that all the time, to separate. In science, we always separate. We have a measuring apparatus and a system we are measuring. There is a separation. But in order to do a measurement, we need a connection. We need an interaction, in fact. So the separation is simply an intellectual trick to reach a limited goal. And it works that way. But in the reality, there is no such a separation. So here we talk on the level of reality. That's what we are interested in. We don't have a limited goal to reach, which could be reached by using this separation. But no, we have to ask ourselves the question, is there really a separation experientially? And you see that no. And then, so already intellectually you understand that what I've just said, that if we go to the more absolute understanding, which is that the body is part of the world, right? And that it interacts with the world, and that they share the same reality. They are not separate. Already intellectually, we can understand that. And then, having understood that, and being free from any interference from belief systems, and if we look simply at the actual experience of the body and of the world appears to us through external sense perceptions, what we see, what we hear, etc. The body appears to us, of course, to some external sense perceptions when we look at our knees, but also through bodily sensation, hunger, pleasure, pain, etc. But is there a separation other than separation we have acquired in order not to bump into external objects, in order to be able to reach a fruit in a tree, right? Then there is a distance. We have to bridge this distance. We cannot reach the moon, we can reach a pear, right? This is fulfills a useful need, right? It's useful in fulfilling a need. So our senses, through the evolutionary process, have been developed not to give us the truth, not to give us reality, but to enable this body to survive up until it reaches the age of reproduction, right? so that the species can survive. That's it. So the goal of survival of the species and the goal of perceiving reality are two different goals. So that's why we have kind of revisit more carefully the message we get from our senses, from our body, and you see that there is no separation. How can you separate a thought, a bodily sensation, and an external sense perception? They are not really separate. They appear in the same place, in the same reality.
The purpose of the yoga was to release the attachment to the bodily sensation.
No, the purpose of the yoga, if you will, as we talk about the body, is to restore, is to realign the way we perceive the world and the body with the reality. Okay. To move away from a perception which is, the goal of which is the survival of this separate, apparently separate entity, to restore the reality. And the reality of the perception of the body and of the world is the one of the newborn child. He doesn't know anything. She doesn't know anything, right? She doesn't know that the moon is at a distance. So she tries to grab the moon and she cries if she cannot. So she doesn't know. She arrives in the world. Everything is new. She has no clue about where her body ends, where the world begins. The world is her body, and she's happy. You see? So the idea is not to live our life like a newborn child. Of course, we need to drive a car, we need to have a profession, we need a separation, we need not to bump into objects. Also, as you get older and more like a child, you tend to bump more into objects, but that's a different story. So we want to, through the yoga, to eliminate, to deny any effectiveness to the feelings, to the bodily perceptions that seem to tell us, I am here, I am not there. You see? I am here, I am not there. How do I know I am here, I am not there? Let's investigate, let's look at whatever tells me I'm here, I'm not there. Right? And you'll see that ultimately, whatever phenomenal perceptions seem to tell you as consciousness, I'm here, I am not there, they are not valid.
This is the cause the attachment, because
What?
the feeling, I am here, not there, cause the attachment reaction?
The feeling, I am here, I am not there, is the result of the identification with the body, with bodily sensations that are deemed to be me. For instance, what I often say, if I move the finger like this, right? My sensation is, I am moving the finger. It's not I am moving, really. You see what I mean? I am moving the finger. The body is sitting on the chair, the head is not moving much, so the finger is moving, I'm not moving. But if I do this, all of a sudden I feel, oh, now I am moving. Or if I stand up and start walking, I say I'm moving. Why? Why? Because it means I am not this. Because here I'm not moving. But here, oh, I am this. So why am I this and not this? It doesn't make sense, right?
Yes.
So it shows that even when I say I am this body, experientially, no, there are only a few bodily sensations that I identify with. For instance, this. If I say, oh, now I'm moving, meaning that I identify with the head, right? If a tree is moving out there, I'm not moving. So, in fact, the goal of the yoga is, well, when the tree moves, I am moving, and when the finger moves, I am moving. When the head moves, I am moving. Or all of that is moving in me. But if I say this is moving, whatever that is, and that is not moving, then where is the separating line, you see? So the goal of the yoga is to realign, if you will, the way we perceive the body and the world, to make this perception consistent with the possibility that consciousness is universal. You know, exactly. As I often say, if consciousness is universal, the body of consciousness is the universe. You know, and so it is. And the question is: am I perceiving the body and the world like this? Not when I am driving, or not when I am brushing my teeth. You know, it's a different story. But what I am not thinking, you know, in the Buddhism tradition, they say that the cause of suffering is a distinction between self and non-self. This is me, that is not me. That's the cause of suffering.
So it seems to require more exercise with the yoga to take off this.
It's not as much exercise as it is investigation. To ask oneself, okay, you are driving, or when the thought comes to you, okay, as consciousness, where am I? What leads me to believe I am here and not there?
Because it's not in the level of the thought, and Francis, it's a level of feeling, reaction fast.
Yeah, because look, in order to make the statement, consciousness is here and not there, so two things are required. First, to see here and to see there. That's the first requirement, right? And second requirement is to see consciousness here and not to see it there. You know, if I say this is on the table, I need to see the table, I need to see this, and I need to see this on the table. If I say consciousness is in the body, not in the world, right? I need to see the body, I need to see consciousness inside, I need to see the world without the consciousness in it. That's the experiential requirement for this statement to be validated. But no, for the simple reason that consciousness is not an object, we cannot see it as an object. So everything we say about it is conjectural. Because most of psychologists, neuroscientists, whatever, they would say that consciousness is kind of in the body, or is produced by the body, is an expression of the body. But at that moment, there are no scientists any longer. They become part of the congregation of the religion of science, which is something very different. Because science requires experimental verification or falsification, and their statement is not experientially, cannot be experientially validated or falsified. So then that opens the path to a different possibility that has to be investigated. What if consciousness is universal? And how to test it? You see, and the way to test it is to change the way we live our life and to begin to live our life from the assumption or the perspective that consciousness is not limited, that it is universal, shared by all as a result of that, right? Shared by all. That's one first result. But also that everything that happens in the world, like the moving of the branch or the moving of the planets, is also cause, by the causal body of consciousness, right?
So if this feeling still exists, that means I didn't fully investigate it truly. My investigation is still weak.
Yes. You need to go back to it. You need to hammer it up until you get okay. Now the nail is completely inside the coffin, inside the wood. So I don't need to hammer any longer. But up until that moment, if there is a little space between the head of the nail and the wood, you need to go back to the hammer.
Okay, it's clear. Thank you, Francis.